some basic Excel spreadsheet work, and then I'm going to get a little bit into more complicated. The formulas are fairly straightforward, but I'll go from basic to intermediate, and then we'll go from there. So say that this is your spreadsheet. You can see it here. We're talking about the Martintown Community Center. Let's just say we're looking for the first 3 months of the year, and then we want to summarize that by quarter. So I'll just put some fake numbers in here. $250 for them, 125 here, 375 there, 150 there, 150, 150, 125. Numbers don't really matter. 325, 450, 125, 325, 175. So typically, you're confronted with making a chart like this. And a lot of people like to summarize the month. So we'll say total month. I'm just going to Control C, Control V for copy, Control V for copy. So now we have that here. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. And this is quarter one. So total quarter. Quarter one is January through March. There are several ways how to do this. You can go plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this. And that does add up. You can double check this by highlighting this, and you can check down here. It says 900. There's a count of 4, so that's a handy thing when you're highlighting over thing, and an average of 225. But Excel is a tabulation program, so you shouldn't really have too much doubt. But if you do, you just highlight. You grab what you want, and 900, 900. So perfect. You can also push. A simple formula is sum. So you use sum. Open bracket, and you just grab and then highlight them and close bracket, and that gives you 750. Again, you can highlight them, check in the bottom, 750. Another way how to do sum, instead of the grabbing it, would be to equals sum. And if you know here you have column J12, you can put J12, and it shows you colon. You know you're still in column J, and then you can look J15. J15. So you can see it returns the same thing. So it's doing the same operation, but in 2 different ways. I'll just keep this here for fun. And you can also do equals subtotal. And then 9 is for count. You can see here, 9 is sum, sorry. 9 is sum, you have a whole bunch. And then you just highlight similarly to sum. And 1075, 1075. Similarly, instead of that highlighting, you can write it in. So you can write subtotal 9, comma, J19, colon, J22, close bracket, brings you the same sum. I'll just slide that over here. Quick formatting, now that we have 1,000, I do like having the things. So you can click up here to bring that in quickly. We don't really need the zeros for this particular report, so we'll go down, down, bring the decimals back. General formatting here would have you have a thin line top and bottom. A cool trick in Excel is there's 2. I'll go through them both. So you just put a line here and there. If you push F4, it repeats the function. So look, there's a line, F4 again. That's so much better than having to go here, click back up here, and then finding it. Additionally, you can also, and I'll just undo, which is Control Z, see, undone, Control Z, undone. You can also highlight formatting. So you go here. And a lot of people know you can format Painter, but then you have to come back and you have to go back up and you go. So then again, that takes a little bit longer than the F4 feature. And I'll undo Control Z, Control Z. If you want to redo, it's Control Y. So write that down. Control plus Z equals undo. Control plus Y equals redo. F4 equals repeats last action. Up top, format Painter. Copies format. So here I'll just undo what I did there. No borders. I'm just going to F4 this one. No borders again. So you saw how with format painting I had to come back up and do it. That's not the fastest way. You can actually, if you want to copy those lines, you can double click format painter and then it stays. So then it stays. See how it's the image I'm shaking stays. Everywhere I go, I click and it copies the format. So that's instead of going back and forth. So there's 3 ways how to do that. but I will leave it there. So see how I went back too far by 2? So if I push Control Y, it's back here, and Control Y again, it's there. So the problem here, and I'm just going to use traditional formatting for the end of something, would be a double line at the bottom. That's the ultimate goal. So here, a lot of people go plus some, that one plus that one plus that one. Not too bad and also accurate. So if I highlight this, I'm pushing now Control to highlight separate sections. So that's, what click would that be? Main click, so left click. Then hold Shift. Oh no, not Shift. Shift brings it all. Hold Control. And repeat. So left click, Control, left click, Control, left click, and drag, I should say, in between there. 2,722, it does equal this. Now, the hard thing with this is if you add something, it can sometimes change. So as good as this formula is, just simply counting them, and you can see it that way. And as good as this formula is, you can see it grabbing that way. This formula is actually the best because it takes it counts this as a subtotal. So if I was to highlight all of this information here, it gives me 5,450, and voila, it's double this. And just so you can confirm that, this times 2 for the skeptics. So 540 if I, and sorry, 5,450 if I highlight everything here. Oh, sorry, not except for that final. 5,450. So it is double that. I like to use, in this case, subtotal if you're going to build a sheet this way. So I'm just going to, I guess I can copy because like this is grabbing the 4 things above. And I would generally ask to grab there just in case you add a line above. What do I mean by this? I will show you. If I undo that change, so again, I have subtotal 9. I'll put a line, insert above, and say I put Lachlan Jim. I put 50. Does catch, but if I was to enter it on this line, Lachlan Jim, 50. Oh, it did catch again. Okay, smart enough to do that. Sometimes that doesn't drag down. So if it gets stuck in this situation, it's missing this. So you can see that if I control, left click, Control, drag, sorry, and there, now we have 2,775. We only have 2,725 here. So I'll undo all that by Control Z, Control Z. Bring us back to where we were. So here's where we were. So I was saying that this subtotal is good. We drag it down so we capture any new data. Always should be checked, but you can see how easy that mistake is made. But with this Control copy, because now it has the same formula, drags down. That's not always the case. We can rewrite it. Equals subtotal, open bracket 9. I'm just going to highlight it this time. Down to the bottom. So what we have here now, same numbers, everything works, but now we can put equals subtotal down here. And this gets you out of a lot of trouble. In case you miss something, I've almost pointed with my finger on the screen. In case you miss something here, here, or here. So subtotal 9. And remember when we highlighted the data before, it double counted? Now it won't. So I'm highlighting everything. 2,725, exactly what we wanted. So what this formula allows you to do is it's telling you that this is a subtotal, this is a subtotal, and this is a subtotal. Just highlight those. So when this counts, it counts everything here except for the yellow because it's saying don't count subtotals because the subtotal already counts what's above it. So it takes into account this information only, and it skips that double count that we were experiencing before. Very handy for doing reports like this, and it stops you from making a common mistake, which is missing a dot or connection. So equals subtotal, open bracket 9, and then you can drag, or you can enter the formulas or the squares that you want, like J5, as you can see here, J5 through to J, and I even go below the last subtotal because you can't miss anything then. Like no matter what gets entered within these boxes will be counted, and you can see it here, 50. It's counted here, it's counted there, and not double counted anywhere. So this was probably the common way how to do things. What we've learned today is you do have Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo, F4 as a repeat last action, which can be handy. And you can even use it for picture sizing if ever you're making posters. I know I showed Casey and she uses it quite well for kindergarten. When she sizes a kinder photo the proper way, she clicks, then she can just do F4, and it resizes it perfectly instead of having to, go up and resize things up in the top corners, say over here, and put 10, size 10, size 5, and then go to the next one, size 10, size 5 for dimensions and height. And then up top, Format Painter, and so you can also 2 times click and carry that forth. And then this left click and control repeat is how you highlight things. And you can say left click first. I brought that with me, doesn't matter. So this is more your common way of doing things. Good if this is what you need to do, but if you want reporting afterwards, I'm just going to delete these parts here. You should really consider using tabular format. And what tabular data is one line, one item. So it is slightly more cumbersome, but the results in reporting are astronomically better. So I'm going to put year, month, center, group, amount. So this one's pretty simple. Everything's going to be 2020. So, and here's another little secret. Whenever you pull down, oh, okay. Don't need to apply it this time. This one kept 2020, but sometimes if you put 2021, 2022, let's see if Excel does it this time. It's not proving me a liar. Okay, that's all right. But sometimes you can hold this when the bar goes from the white cross to the black cross, you hold Control and you drag it down. Oh, that's good. And it will give you the sequence. In this case, we don't need that, and it's odd because normally it does the opposite, but that's a hint you can use for doing that. You can also, as you saw there, you can get this black dot, and if you black triangle, sorry, by triangle I mean plus, from the white one down here, and it will carry the formula down, so that just clears it. The month, we have 4 items in January. I'm just gonna copy that. February, we have 4 there. And we have 4 in March. Interestingly, you can also apply that same logic here, is if you have this filled, if I grab when I have the cross as a black one, it will go down to the bottom one and stop at the bottom. So that's handy for filling things in. So we have the center. I'm just gonna call it the Martintown Community Center for short. Same thing. And I highlight over and wait until this is black. Double click on my left click, my main click, right down to the bottom. Group. I have them in the same order over here. I'm just going to save time. Copy paste. It can actually follow a group too. So if I do this, I go this, I'll pull it down, and you can see McCullough Dancers, Good Timers, McCullough Dancers, or sorry, Good Timers, Maryland Parisian Martial Arts. Same. So how I did that was highlighted my pattern, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Waited until my cross became or my pointer became a black instead of white, and dragged it down. Now, if you have one extra line, it will start at the top again, which I think I have here. See McCullough's, 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 So this is actually one extra line. And to be lazy, I'm just going to steal these amounts from over here, paste them over there. Repeat times 3. So now we have our data set up in tabular format. I'm going to push Control T to make a chart within the chart. So this is Control T. I do have headers, and it's grabbing what I want. So I push OK. This is handy because now if I scroll down, these stay. So if I'm out of the chart, MNOPQ. If I'm in the chart, year, month, center. So you don't have to, freeze pane your top area. So that's Control T. Now I'm going to insert a pivot table, and this is where the power of this comes in, is because here you have a report. So if you show your manager this, he's like, well, I don't like it like that. You have to rewrite your whole report. Whereas in this case, you can just play with it once you get there. So here's within the table, I'm going to now go up to Insert, Pivot Table. Normally we'll go, if I push OK, we'll go on a new sheet, that's fine, but I just want to keep things on one page for now. I'm going to click Existing Worksheet. I'm just going to click here is where I want it. So now I have a pivot table. What's a pivot table? It's a way how to make charts like this. So let's say I want, well, in this case, we know the year. So let's keep it out. Month, we want month on the rows. We want the groups with that too. So you have your month, your group, we're making this report. And then we come back in and I want the amount here. And voila, same number. I don't like this format, so I'm going to go up to design, blank rows. I like blank rows after to separate, so insert blank rows, insert some blank row. I'm also going to move my subtitles to the bottom of the group. This makes a lot more sense for most readers. So now we have this report in the same way, except for it's alphabetical. We can change this, and you'll see I'll make a change to have McCullough's answers at top. I'll just click that, wait until this white dot becomes a black dot, not white dot, white cross becomes a black cross with arrows on it. I drag it up, and it drags it up to match. So now, good timers. So now it's in the exact same order as here. So that's pretty handy. Now, as I said before, the format is not great. So I'm just going to right click here, format numbers. I'm just going to take number. I'm going to get rid of the decimal places. I'm going to add a delimiter, a separator. And now we have the same format. Now, the great thing is, if you have a boss that says, I don't like the way this looks. Well, do you know what? You can, I want to see it just grouped together. Here's grouped together. You can just close that, or you can either right click, expand collapse, and you can expand or collapse entire field or whatever. So I'm going to expand them again. So now we have that same report over here. If you have a manager who says, I actually don't like that, you just move things around, right? So like if you have multiple centers, you can bring it up to a filter. Oops, that's going to get in the way of this chart. So I'm just going to move this chart up here for a quarter moment. Okay, so you can move your centers up here. So you can actually have multiple centers and choose. So say, for example, we could change that. But yeah, you can just change centers. You can click all. It just allows you to sort the data differently. Year, if you have multiple years, you can put it up there. You can put it over here too. So you can go by year, but you can play around with this. I'm going to get rid of those things because they're static in this example. Or if you have somebody that doesn't like seeing it that way, perhaps they like seeing it like this. Maybe they like their chart like that. Now imagine having to create this chart. Your boss says, I don't like this. Now you have to manually change that. All I had to do was move one thing to the left, one thing to the right. Changes the way it looks. Additional to this, you can kind of see revenue across time with charts. So I'm going to right click here. Am I going to right click there? I'm not. I'm going to highlight here. I'm going to go to insert up top. I'm just going to take a line chart and see how we'll build this. So I'm going to take just a regular line chart, and you can see how now, and this is the power of pivot tables and tabular data, is now we have a chart made very quickly, and it's all interactive. So if I change McCullough's dancers here in January to 500, I push refresh. I have refresh saved here, but you go data, refresh all, the chart changes immediately. Everything has changed with one change. This is your source data. Everything else is a refresh away. I'm going to undo that change, push refresh again, and now it's back. I don't think this is the best chart in the world to show, but it does show what we're looking at. And I don't know if this particular chart needs a chart, but that's just style. And then even here, you can change what chart you want. So if you want a different type of chart, you can change chart somewhere. Where is it? Change chart type. So if you like bar graph, if you think a bar graph would look better, maybe it would. It gives you a little description here, so you can do it that way. If you want to see it by group instead of by month this way, again, you just have to, I could move this over here and this over here, or this under here, or this under that. So it can show you by martial arts, by month, but like you can just play with it however you want, which is quite handy. There is a slicer too. So if you were to make a bar chart, I'm going to go back to the line chart, just like it better for the simplicity of this. So we are here, change chart type, and go back to the line. So this is cluttered. Well, we'll all admit that. But so tabular data, pivot table, write your data down in tabular format, has one line, has one item you're searching for. You can sort through there, turn it to a table, Control T. This is a pivot table, insert pivot table, make a pivot table, and then this is, while hovering over the pivot table, go to insert, then chart. And then this last step is a slicer. So slicer. While I'm in the chart, I go design or format or pivot chart analysis. I go to pivot chart analysis and I click insert slicer, and I'm just going to go click by group. So now we have this interactive way to build something. So if nobody needs to see this background, if this was it, so as I said, that was under pivot chart analysis, slicer, well on chart, click pivot table analysis, select slicer, select you want to sort. So now I can go good timers. Well, here's the good timers. That's great. Here's McCullough's dancers. And the title changes with what you're selecting. So kind of handy, and you can also bring up two or these two. And you can do it month out. You can make a slicer for anything. And then you can have a slicer that touches to multiple charts. But that's more than I think you were looking for. But that's typically what I do. So here we have the simple way to do it. Summary there would be use subtotal. 9 is for sum, and then do it this way. That way you don't ever have to worry that you're double counting the subtotals here, here, and here, because by using this instead of sum or adding them up by using plus, 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 it's telling, this formula is telling it that it is a subtotal. And then so when you count this, it skips all the subtotals, and it's a little cleaner because it just doesn't catch things, and you don't have to risk, you know, if you add something in, did I miss a plus? Tabular data, Control T, you write it out like this, insert pivot table, and then you play around with it. While hovering over the pivot table, you can insert this, and then for a slicer, while on the chart, you click pivot table analysis, which was up here, insert slicer, and then you can choose again, insert slicer, let's go year, no, year's not month. So now I have 2, so I can show you what the good timers did in January, February, and March. And line charts don't work on one data point, so there's 2, but you can change it to February to March, all 3. Bar charts would work with one particular data. A line chart with one data is just a point, so that's why you're not seeing it whenever I do here. But I think that's all that is necessary for this particular lesson. I'm going to stop recording now. I hope this was useful, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Have a great day.